It's awesome.
And the inspiration behind this podcast.
Wow.
I felt like I would just throw that.
You just dropped that on me right now.
Because you were. The conversations that you and I had, which were fascinating, first and foremost, because I didn't know as a man that it was a safe place to have those conversations, because we were talking about how men and women are, and we were talking about feminism and things like that. And I knew that if I was going to have any kind of conversation around this, I needed to learn more. And you were such a wealth of information. It's a pleasure to welcome you to this conversation, because it's important. And yeah, because you have been coaching women for a long time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, who better to bring into this podcast to talk about it than someone with that wealth of wisdom and experience. And so we're talking about feminism, and which I feel grateful that I'm able to participate in. So I know a lot of men have this perception, rightly or wrongly, I don't know, that they weren't invited to that conversation. And so as we kind of go through these things and understand how that's impacting us, I think that we're going to learn a lot. So I'd love to hear your perspective about, how you define feminism and why you think that now is an important time to have that conversation.
Thank you for having me. I don't know how to define feminism now, because I feel like I'm 54 years old. I was born in 1970. So I saw, working girl and 9 to 5. And I saw the women with the big shoulder pads, and the suits, and they're going into that. To me is feminism. So that to me is on the out, feminism started in the 60s, all of the burning your bras and all that stuff. I wasn't part of that, but I did see women going into the workforce. So for me, when I was born, that's what it was to me. We want equal rights. We want to be able to make equal pay. And there's nothing equal between men and women. It's just, there's no equality. So with my boot camp and with my coaching business, I would say I was really about empowering women, whether it was physically with their health and their body and their fitness, or if it was in my coaching business. And, that was my theme is female empowerment. And it wasn't until I had kids, I had my first kid, that I experienced wanting a traditional role with my husband. And that one rocked me. Like, I would have called myself a feminist. I would have called myself a female empowerment coach. I was like, tough as nails. Like, that was me, New York, Italian, like all the things, and wore that like a badge, like that kind of like tough, you're not going to mess with me. And it wasn't until I had my daughter, my oldest daughter, and I became utterly maternal. Like, it shifts you. I think they're going to be able to start to measure like what your chemistry is before you have a child and what it is after, because it just absolutely biologically shifts you. It wanted to be more feminine in my marriage, and I was not feminine in my marriage. So that was this like, and not only did I want that, and I wanted my husband to provide, and I wanted my husband to be this kind of role that I had just started being able to utter this because I was a female empowerer, like because I was so radical about women's rights, but like radical about women's, like empowering women. And I kept it a secret for a long time. Desire to want to be the mother, the nurturer, maybe stay at home. I didn't, my career was like, here's my kid and here's my career. I could care less. And it rocked me. And I kept it a secret for a long time. So I think that I think it's very personal. I think what I've learned over the course of 54 years is I have been multiple people in this lifetime, because your decisions shape you and change you. And they, I told my mom, she's been living here for 30 something years. I was like, I will never live in Arizona. I will never. And I know, never say never.
You've described it to me as regarding to being feminine and being soft, like instead of having to be more masculine in your day to day.
Yeah.
To be pragmatic and aggressive and these sorts of qualities you typically associate with the male.
Yep.
That this was causing some cognitive dissonance for you. That was what you truly were desiring. And yet in your marriage, having to be how you were, and your husband not fulfilling that part of it
Mm-hmm.
meant that you were happy.
Yeah. The disconnect, I didn't see it because I started to become tough, aggressive, ball buster, aggressive really as a kid because I went through some things when I was young, dated a guy who treated me badly. And I went, I will never date that guy again, even though that guy is who I am absolutely attracted to. Like, that is my type. That's my guy. But I'm never going to date you again because you hurt me. And then that plus, being estranged from my dad at 9. So I had, father wounds and I had masculine wounds. And so my decision consciously and also subconsciously was to be tough, to be strong, to be, I'll get you before you get me. So and that was in every relationship. And then it just played out. It played all the way out in a 20-year marriage where I was like, I woke up during COVID and was like, wow, we're on 2 separate planets. A, the only thing we have in common is our children. B, and I am not fulfilled being the driver, the more masculine one in this marriage, but he doesn't have a shot because I picked him back when I was, in my masculine. So yeah, it was a big shift for me. Like, it was a big kind of, and what do you do at that point? It's not that I believe that we could have worked it out if we were able to actually have those conversations, but yeah. So here I am, divorced, not anywhere near ready to be in partnership, and realizing I don't think I've ever been in partnership with a man. And it's because I don't know what it looks like to be feminine in a relationship. I don't know what it looks like to feel, be, experience soft, vulnerable, open, safe, all the ways. And so never done it before.
Yet.
Yet.
So not married, not in a relationship right now, but 2 beautiful teenage daughters.
Yeah.
I'm curious how that conversation translates to your girls, if at all, right now.
The feminism conversation. The conversations that I have with them are more about the world, more about how they show up and who they interact with, and they see me. They've been witnessing me be, an entrepreneur for, the last 15 to 16 years, serving women, being strong. We'll call it strong, being strong. And I mean that is as a persona. I know that I'm strong. If you have children and you bear life, that's a whole different topic, but strong as a persona. Like, I have to be tough. I want them to, my intention for them and the way that I parent them is I want them to stay soft and also be smart, right? Like, the world is crazy. But I also don't want them to have any of the kind of wounding that I had. So we talk about everything. We just do. I make everything a conversation. They're very vocal with me. And they're also, young women who I honor and value their own uniqueness. Like, I grew up in the times when you believe what your parents believe. We're going to tell you what you believe. And that became an issue for me when I became an adult, and I had views that were different than my mom. And I remember I still deal with it to this day. I still deal with it because I'm not going to change her. But I just set boundaries with my mom and I communicate with her like, hey, that's not my thing. We have different beliefs about some things and you can believe what you believe. Just don't try and come up in here, preaching to me.
Sounds familiar.
Right?
How old's your mom?
My mom is 80. She just turned 80.
Okay. But dad and you don't have a relationship?
My dad and I have a phenomenal relationship. He passed in 2018. But when I went through so my mom moved us to Colorado when I was 9, divorce. So my dad stayed back. And so I was estranged from just absent, he wasn't around.
Yeah.
And it created a massive hole in my heart. It was just a huge missing to not have that masculine person, him and my brother, so an older brother who we had different fathers. So when my parents split, he went to go live with his dad. So I lost 2 male figures in my life, and that had a massive impact on me. And that was a big reason why I became tough. And, I could just imagine my little skinny ass running around, just don't mess with me. Like, the wind blows too much and I fall over. But I mean, I had the chutzpah, I had I had the attitude, and it just stuck. So I was very dominant in my relationships, but my relationship with my mom is just one of boundaries. And I allow my girls to have their own. I try really hard not to impose. I come from, I think I've healed a lot of things. Not like I'm not healed, but that's not what I'm saying, but I've healed a lot of my masculine wounds, the wounds that I have with men. And so I don't I don't talk bad about men. I don't. I want to be sure that I'm responsible for that. I'm not conditioning my children to think a specific way, and they will no matter what. But I want them to be autonomous thinkers. I want them to be critical thinkers, and I want them to. I would much rather have them tap into their own intuition, and we have conversations about that too. So I don't know if
I got to pick at something though, because describing how your mom moved away really struck something with me, because the same thing happened in my life. Her mom moved out here to Arizona from Ohio and left her father behind. And this was going on back in
that's what. Yeah,
now you
you can't. It's
do it,
illegal.
but back in those days, which was driven by,
Right.
you can split, take the kids, move across the country to start a new life somewhere else, left you, like in your own words, with a massive. I'm just wondering, how does that make you feel, like kind of knowing that the ability for that to happen to you was also driven by a decision that your mom made?
So am I angry at my mom about it? I think one of God's greatest gifts that he gave me was this ability to see both sides. So I could look at my mom, I could look at my dad and be like, "Oh, yeah, I can see why you did that." Look at my mom, pregnant at 19, had my brother. That relationship ended. She met my dad. She was young when she had kids. Young. She 4 kids, in the matter of, I think she was 26 when she had her last kid. And I think she wanted to live life. She wanted more. She wanted more than just being a mom, I think. And I can understand that. I put myself in that situation. And I think, would I have left my husband and taken my kids? I can say, having experienced that, no, I would never do that. I would never do that. But with my mom, I just saw her struggling. And with my dad, I saw him heartbroken. So our only communication was phone, and we would talk every week, and I could feel his sadness. And that was why I became strong. That was the main reason why I was like, I have to be strong for him. I don't want him to see me hurting, crying, sad. So I stiff upper lip, and just, everything's fine, daddy. I'm good. School's good. And then I would cry when I got off the phone with him. So I developed these patterns of like appearing like I was good, and then I'd fall apart, in private. And so with, your question was, how did this impact my relationship with my mom, or like, what's my relationship with my mom? I can understand. I can understand feeling trapped by, a decision that she had kids young. And I was like, I didn't have kids till I was 37, and I lived a life up until then. And I can tell you, if I was 19, probably, maybe would have made the same decision. And I look at the trajectory of my life. Yes, it was heartbreaking. And yes, I wish that I did have my dad around. But then I sometimes play out, well, what if I did stay in New York? You know, I definitely have a thick accent, right? What are you talking about? Right? It'd probably still be really hard, but you get what you get. And our job as adults, when we become adults, our job is to really just you know, process and look at, like, I just look at what I learned, like, what did I experience out of it? And I'm using all of that in how I parent my girls now, because I'm making radically different decisions than my mom did. So it, yeah, I mean, it was a playbook. She played out her playbook as a single mom. My playbook looks different than hers. So I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for the pain and the struggle and the heartbreak, because I've processed it. I've processed a lot of it. The masculine wound is new. The realization about, oh wow, I chose this kind of a man because that kind of a man, the one that I really want, hurt me, and I just made the decision. That's new. That was from, like, I started to uncover that one in 2020.
I will never know my father.
Is he alive?
Yeah, my kids will never know their grandfather, because he's out of their lives, because he was out of my wife's life since she was a little kid. And so I want to introduce this kind of carefully, because I want to view it through the lens of, with freedom comes great responsibility, right? So with the ability for couples to split, and for, like what happened with you were a young girl, same thing with my wife, was like, okay, that happens. But like for the husband in that situation, to not fight for his family, to not want to have a relationship with his children, that's something that I struggle with. I've never been able to understand his response to it and his inability to want to have any kind of meaningful relationship
With his children.
I can't fathom it, because as a father, I know that. Since we do have this as a byproduct of feminism, right? First wave is like the right to vote and all that sort of thing. And then, it goes through workplace equality. And it wasn't, I mean, when my mom was growing up, she couldn't get a bank account.
Yep.
She needed a man to be there. And these are all very good things. Those freedoms now is the ability for us as adults to make those decisions that impact the lives of our kids and their families. So I'm wondering how, as we continue to evolve our concept of feminism, how do we prioritize family in that context? And for you, as someone who was struggling in a world of having to be tough and sort of masculine and enjoying how that feels, right? I mean, it was a good feeling, but at the same time didn't produce the type of happiness and safety and security that you want.
Mm-hmm.
Means that the version of feminism that we have right now is imperfect.
Mm-hmm.
It can damage young people's lives. Families can be broken apart, and women and men in most situations aren't really feeling like they're fulfilled because we're missing something, right? Like, and this may be for both of you. Like, how do you respond to that?
Say, I can see where you're going with the role of feminism breaking up families is the connection that I'm.
In such stark terms of like blaming it for that. As I said, it introduces some human risks into the equation that now, because we have the freedom to do more and women have the ability to do more in their lives, it creates new challenges that we didn't have before. And I'm not saying the prior model was superior. I'm saying that, we now have to respond to some of the collateral things that weren't intended in a way that produces some better outcomes in the future for those that are impacted.
Yeah. And I think I would say, I don't think you can actually know what that would be, because if you weren't able to vote, or you weren't able to get a high paying job, or you were in a job where someone, because of their gender, was just traditionally and historically made more money than you, you'd want the same things. You'd want to, like, wait a minute, like, this isn't fair, right? So equity, this isn't fair. We need some fairness here. Is there going to be like so I would pose back the risks that we can't see coming, right? So there's, with freedom, you said freedom. I don't know if it's necessarily freedom. I don't know if it's necessarily freedom. I wouldn't classify it as freedom. I would classify it as options. But one of the things about the feminist movement is that I can see that has caused the greatest kind of pendulum swing, maybe overcorrecting. So we have a problem. We don't have equity. We want some, fairness. We want to have the same sorts of opportunities. And the pendulum gets swung in over in the opposite direction. And then it starts to right itself. So I think what happens when women go outside the home, they work. They're now latchkey kids, right? I was a latchkey kid because my mom was a single mom. She worked outside the home. I didn't have parents come to sporting events. I didn't have a lot of things. And there's an impact to that. Is it necessarily worse than having two parents together where the mom is in the traditional role of caring for the kids? I can't say that's actually the only outcome, or that's something that we have to correct. I will say this: having that pendulum swing, because you can do something, because you can now work now. And I'll just I'm gonna knock this one out. The workforce, traditionally built by men have a energetic clock that resets every 24 hours. Women do not have that. Women have 4 cycles or phases of the month where they are in different energetic cycles. And we have different energy spurts. Yet the work week and the ways in which work happens traditionally in a Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, 8 hours a day kind of a situation, which is your traditional work format, doesn't work with a woman's rhythm. So there's so many nuances to it. Is it that it disrupts the family system? Maybe. And I can tell you, like, there were times when I wanted to be in a traditional family. I can tell you this, hands down, I felt safe when my dad was around and my mom was at home. I mean, that was the last time I felt actually safe. Post divorce, post moving away from my dad, and my mom becoming a single mom, it was fear. There was a lot of fear. There was a sense of, where are the adults? I'm 9. I shouldn't be, I shouldn't be doing this. This isn't how it should be. It was heartbreak. It was fear. It was loneliness. It was, I was very scared. And so that's not okay for kids. And it's just more of like I think there's so much nuance to it that, yes, is it better to have a nuclear family altogether?
Depends on the players.
Yeah, it really does. It so depends on the players. Like, we never know the outcome. We never know. Like, I even say it now. I'm like, would I have wanted to? My dad, I'll say this lovingly, my dad was a very aggressive, angry man. So would it have been better? I mean, I can look at it now and with peace in my heart go, yeah, it sucked. It was really hard. I don't want my kids to go through that. And guess what? They're actually going through it. They're actually going through it, but in a completely different way. And in a way that no matter what they go through, because we're all going to go through pain. You can't get out. We don't come out of this game alive. We don't come out unscathed. Who am I going to be for them when they go through the hard times? I think that's, I'm a full-time single parent. I have them 100% of the time. They don't see their dad. They don't communicate with him. It's even worse than what I had, but I have them in therapy and I talk to them all the time and we have tools and I'm engaged with them. They are my priority, not work. Nothing else is my priority but them. So I learned from, what the mistakes that my parents made, and it's informed me. It could have hardened me. It could have made me bitter, but I don't know if I want to connect feminism to it. I don't know. I don't know.
I think it's a stretch. I think it's just, we're always striving for a better world.
Yeah.
Right? And we're trying to make things more equitable for all the people that are in our community.
Yeah.
And can we always see all of the consequences coming down the road? We can't.
Mm-hmm.
But through our wisdom and maturity, we can continue to evolve it in a way that makes it better. And something that I get more and more concerned with over the years is that the choice to have that nuclear family is becoming much more restrictive for people because of cost.
Yeah.
I learned this just really sharply when I was in Southern California. We looked at most of our friends, both the husband and wife had to have high income just to live. And so they were usually commuting, just kind of generalizing.
Yep.
And spending a lot of time
away from their kids. Yeah.
From their kids. And they had to do that just to afford to live. Mm-hmm. And now here we are in Arizona, we're getting to that. And, in my house, I moved around a lot after my wife and I got married. Mm-hmm. And so she was the one who had to leave her job. Mm-hmm. Which is totally not fair, right? And go find a new job somewhere else. And we decided we were going to have children. Maybe you don't need to do that anymore. I will be the one to work. She could stay home with the kids.
Yeah.
And that was a choice that we were able to make.
Right.
Because where we live.
Yeah.
But I don't know that we can make the same choice again now that inflation has resulted in, everything being more expensive, housing costs. So, you kind of take the ability for people to be self-determining in how they want to construct their families. And you put this added stress, of now we've got bills to pay. We've got, work responsibilities. We've got stress from work and all that sort of stuff. It's hitting both people.
Yep.
And so this is the time that we live in now.
Yeah.
And if we don't have healthy ways that we respond to this, particularly if we're searching for something to blame for it, because if we do blame feminism, then we're going to say, then I think that turns it into a negative thing and attaches that to women. It's your fault because you wanted this, right? And that's not exactly the way it is. Because I think you can objectively look at this and go, well, women should have a right. Women should be able to work. And if they're doing the same kind of work as the guys doing, paying as much as the guys getting paid. All of that makes total sense. So now that we have consequences from that, we need to have better ways, I think, of responding to it.
Yeah. And I'll just throw this one out. Yeah. This, like I said, the thing that kind of like hit me across the forehead was I didn't want to go back to work. Like I said, I had babies and I was just like, nope. Like, and I believe that biologically is on purpose because biologically,
Sure.
there is just something, there's something that shifts in you. Like then nothing else is important. Nothing else is as important as you protecting and nurturing and being with that baby. And I remember having to go back to work at like 6 weeks. She was 6 weeks old. And I was like, I'm not doing it. Not doing it. Here was my mistake. I didn't know. You don't know what you don't know until you're actually in it. I didn't know what it was going to be like to become a mom. I didn't know that I wouldn't care about anything else as much as I cared about that baby. And I also married a guy who wasn't a provider. He wasn't driven. I was. He wasn't ambitious. I was. And so when I wanted to pull back from it, from like my ambition, I was just like, I put all my effort into like pushing him forward. Hey, why don't you go look and see if like go look at the job boards in your company. Is there, I wanted to be with my children and I wanted him to provide. That rocked me. I just didn't see it coming, but I think that it's valid. I think that there's systemic things that happen that biology supersedes, like, yes, of course, I love the work that I do. I love empowering women. I love, making an impact and making a difference and knowing that my work matters and that I'm contributing to some greater cause in the work that I do. I'm not the kind of person that can just go get a paycheck. It's just not how I'm designed. I wish it was because it would make my life a whole lot easier, but I'm not. But I wanted him to be the provider. I wanted that traditional setup and it wasn't an option. And what I did instead of maybe having a conversation with him because it had been so long in our marriage and this kind of came up and bit me and I didn't see it coming was I got real nasty with him. I just did. I was pissed. And I was just like internally resentful. You can't give me what I want right now. That piece of it, I wanted to just experience it fully. I didn't want to have to worry about money. I didn't want to have to worry about my job. So I was jealous of the women who got to stay home.
I forget if it was Brene Brown, Mel Robbins, one of the top ladies out there right now, but they said something to the effect of women can have it all, but they can't have it all at the same time.
Exactly. It's a misnomer. It's such a myth that we get wrapped up in. Yeah, can I? Yeah. If I want to burn out, can I have a 16-hour day and have children? Yeah. If I want my kids to be in daycare or, be raised by a nanny, absolutely can. And in there, you have to choose. You can't be in two places at once, right? I can't be at my job and also be at home with my kids. Well, I mean, you kind of can, but even that work from home stuff when your babies are little, it's, yeah, just because you can doesn't mean that. And there's an impact to it.
Yeah. That's such an important thing. Like, you can't have it all at the same time. But you're trying to work with missing an important piece of the equation, which is a guy that shows up what he's supposed to do.
But you have to know that. Here's the thing. Like, this is the thing that I don't experience regret. I haven't experienced regret for a really long time. Like, I just don't, because I'm clear. Like, I made the choice, like this is the outcome. But I really wish someone would have pulled me aside. I wouldn't have listened, but I really wish someone would have pulled me aside and been like, when you have a baby, nothing else is going to matter. And you don't know it until you experience it. But I didn't choose the man who said, hey, I got you. Now, he did provide. He did, while I also was running my businesses. And it was very apparent. And he was very adamant, like, hey, where's the money? Like, hey, and that pressure, that financial pressure, I couldn't do it all. Because I had grown my boot camp to 3 locations. I was super proud of it. I had 3 instructors at 3 different locations. I was running operations. I was marketing. I was bringing in, and I was so proud of that. I started my boot camp business with $1,000 and I built it to 3 locations. It was awesome. But the reason I did it was so that I could be with my kids. It wasn't so that I could amass $1 million. I wasn't trying to become, wasn't that, but I always had this, like, there's never enough. I'm never making enough money. And I didn't have this conversation with him. Hey, can you just take this piece? I don't think that he would have said yes. I don't think I didn't marry that guy.
Yeah. But you were having a very masculine feeling. which is that I I I have to make more money. I have to continue to, it's not only just aspire to to be bigger and better and all this sort of thing, but you're being pragmatic and driving your business and that thing while you're simultaneously trying to be a mom because you're having to compensate. Just keep returning to this over and over again. When I hear stories of, they're not being there, husband not being there, if you were to replace that with this ideal version of a man who can do those kind of things.
Wants to, chooses to. Big difference.
Yeah.
So, how do you respond as a woman to a man like that in terms of like he is meeting your needs? He does make you feel safe and protected, and you get to be soft and feminine, and you get to explore your career and do all of those things, right? I think in a way, in this perfect version of the world that we're trying to create, like there is a way for you to have all of those things, but men overall, and I think this is prevalent and kind of hear what's going on in the manosphere today, is that they have taken their toys and they have left the sandbox because they felt shut out of the conversation. And it is a petty response, I think, in a lot of ways, is that they're going to disengage and not step up and even try. And I think that's a dangerous place for young men, especially, to be, is to feel that type of isolation and like inadequacy.
Yeah.
So I think if we could empower men, especially young men, to take charge of their lives and be able to be providers, not think about providing just in terms of financial provision, but providing emotionally, providing in terms of their presence with their family and that sort of thing. What kind of a different environment could we create at a family and a community?
Yeah. I mean, the dream, honestly, at this phase of my life, the dream is that I do the work that I need to do still, and I know that I do, so that I don't dominate in the relationship. Because that's just, I have a very dominant, strong personality, and I have to do my work in order to feel safe within myself. I have to do that work. Men have to do their work where, my ex-husband was actually a really good guy. He was a phenomenal father. He provided, he allowed me to have these businesses, but he did it as in order to. And I don't think he saw that consciously. He did it so that one day he would be regarded or respected. So the dynamic was, I don't want to use the word manipulative because it wasn't like a covert manipulation, but he was like, I'm going to yes you. He yesed me for, 18 years of the marriage. Yes, whatever you want. Yes, whatever you want. But secretly was resentful because we had not had that conversation. He was not that guy. That was not the arrangement. It wasn't, oh, hey, once you have kids, like you had with your wife, we didn't have that conversation. I became resentful of him. He became resentful of me. Here we are. And I think so my job going forward in my life, thinking about the future man that I get to be with, I have work to do. And I hope, because what I see with these young men is what I see, and maybe it's because I'm in an echo chamber, I don't know, but I see these young men doing their work. They're doing the kind of like the sacred masculine. They're kind of, creating that within themselves. And I hope that some of these, here's what I'm a little bit still concerned about. The younger generation of women are still doing a lot. A lot of them are, everyone has got a career. Every woman, the majority of them don't. Everyone's going to college, right? We're all going. You go to college so you can get the job, right? So it's even the structures that we decide that we're going to participate in. Do I want to get married? Do I want to sign up for a 30-year mortgage? I mean, I see these kids in their 30s who they're entrepreneurs and they travel. And I'm like, one of these kids, no, I'm kidding. Love my kids. But there is a little bit of like, man, I just wish I love having children. I would never change it at all. But, you do give up some of the freedom. And so I don't know. I have faith and hope. I really do have hope that both sides have to do, like, women have to heal that part of themselves. It's the hyper independence. It's the I can do it. I don't need a man. That was the narrative. I mean, that was the narrative. That was feminism. And it wasn't, I never felt man hating. I never felt but I felt the pressure to actually be able to be successful in that paradigm, in that system of working, of, I don't know. I don't, it's, what do you think?
My daughter is a phenomenal student, very talented academically, and I know she's going to be driven to have a successful career.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, 1,000%. I think she can be anything that she wants to be. But what I want for her as well is to be fulfilled emotionally. And just something that you said earlier, kind of stood out to me. It's being one of those just critical emotional elements. And that has to be that, like, the man in the relationship, that's the father, husband, so he has to,
Yeah.
he has to desire to have that kind of relationship with his family, and that it's not there when there's a resentment, when there's some negative thing building underneath. Like the woman, the wife and daughter is going to compensate for that in some way because there's something intangible that's missing from that relationship. And I think that what I'm seeing overall is like a disengagement from guys.
Yeah. In like husbands and fathers.
Right. And that's an ego thing, that's an entitlement thing, and it's misinformation too that's spread around. Like what does a man need to be? How does he need to act?
Yeah.
And it's the alpha male bullshit and all that sort of stuff that is out there. It's not it. Because, try being an alpha male in a relationship with a woman and see how far that gets you. You know what I mean? Like that's almost like an abusive concept.
Right.
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 It's just driven by the man's ego to feed my ego all the time. Right. And so that's not going to work. So how do we need men to step up in an environment where there is equality?
Yeah.
That's where we need a dialogue.
Yeah. 100%.
We just at least need to set the stage to say that we are invited into that. And it's probably going to be a little messy at first. And we're going to have to work it out.
Yeah.
Because I don't know that anyone wants to go through their entire life and not really feel like that they're happy or connected to their true self.
Yep.
Yeah. And I don't think we want to go backwards.
Right.
So we're going to have to find new ways of compromise, which means that we're going to have to be more mature in those conversations too. And we need more male role models that are willing to be that publicly as men in the community say, this is the way that we want to see men.
Yeah. I think that I actually feel kind of heartbroken for men, because I do think that there's just a kind of confusion. Like, I'm actually working with a young man right now. Like, I started to put out into the universe, like, I think I want to start working with men. I want to start having some male clients that I work with, that I coach. And it's mostly around like intimacy and communication. Like, what do I say? Like, what do I say to a woman? And how do I be clear? And how do I communicate what I want? And so it's kind of like just looking at like some of his past, relationship dynamics and how he shows up, and, looking at how was he, what was modeled, what was modeled in his family, and it wasn't good. It wasn't good. So I really feel for men, because I know that women are like, we've been talking, we've been told all these things. You can do this, you can do that. There's impacts to choosing. There's impacts to making those choices. How do men fit in? And I don't even know how to, like, I'm sitting here going, I don't even know if I was in a relationship with a man, because I've never done it. Never. We're talking 20 years married, multiple long-term relationships before that. Never been able to like give a man, I think, what they desire, which is to feel accepted, to feel respected, to tell me, what do men want? Because as someone who considers herself, oh great, yeah.
I mean, the more we talk about these topics, like, the more I think that we need new words and terms, because it's such a spectrum.
Yeah.
Feminism and masculinity mean less and less to me. And I think it's more the fact that we all need to learn how to be self-aware, understand ourselves, and also communicate with others. Because everything that you're saying about like thinking a man wants this out of a relationship to feel this way and feel respected, and like those are the same things that we as women want to feel too, right? And so,
but I want to be protected. Like, I have a deep desire to feel physically protected by a man. and financially secure. I would never have admitted that because coming out of feminism, take care of your own shit. Take care of yourself. Go make the money, girl.
Sure.
But like, trust me when I tell you, that baby gets, you're just like, you become a little weird and you don't see it coming. And I can tell you, it's like this very strange biological process that happens. It's instinctual. It's instinctual from a place of, I am vulnerable. As a woman, I walk down the street, and if a man is passing me, and I don't know how you feel, I talked to my sister about that. She goes, I don't feel that way. It is inherent in the background. I am tense. I check you up and down. Do you look safe? Am I going to move over a little bit? Women walk through the world. I'm sure some men walk through the world, but I walk through the world on high alert.
Is your sister older or younger?
She's younger, and she's tiny.
Were you a protector to her?
Yes.
She felt safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I walk through the world knowing that I make women feel that way because of the way that I live.
You make women feel intimidated.
Yeah. Yeah. And I had this conversation with a very strong feminist. And stuff. I was exploring.
You really do your homework.
And her suggestion to me was, well, why don't you change the way you look? I'm like, no, that's not going to work either. I don't know. But I actually feel this, because I avoid situations where I know it's probably going to be awkward or tense. Like if a woman is standing by herself on an aisle in a grocery store, go on around, because I don't want her to feel that way.
Right.
It has to do with like a self-awareness about that sort of thing. It's like, hey, look, when you're a bigger dude who, looks the way you look, you have that impact on you until they get to know it. And so, I think that is something that guys need to be aware of, is that women have had bad experiences with guys who have had poor behavior, but that shouldn't reflect on all of mankind, right? But still, nonetheless, have to understand that there is a asymmetry of risk in those situations where if a woman makes the wrong judgment call and trusts a guy that she shouldn't have,
Yeah.
because I don't know, Kate, you're probably not going to beat me up, right? Like, but
I'll put up a good fight.
You and I could take him.
you got the boots on.
We call these the shake.
But the practical matter of it is, it's like you cannot afford to make a wrong call. And for me, I'm just oblivious to it. Like I don't feel physically threatened in those kinds of things. So it's understandable if a woman does not want to give a guy the time of day out in public. It's not that, you have to feel insecure about yourself because of that. You still shouldn't have the expectation.
Yeah. I can tell you this. When I have a completely different response to seeing someone like you. Like I would actually want to, like, you to me emit protector energy. Like I'm not intimidated by you. I'm intimidated by somebody that looks sketchy and shifty, but like someone who's strong and clear in their masculine energy, you can sense it. I can. Can you?
I can, but I think you and I have both thought about this topic
Probably.
a lot, and that's probably a realization that I've had in the past 5-6 years. Because I would say 8-10 years ago, I might see someone that looks like David on the street, and regardless, today I have my head on a swivel always. Whether I'm walking down the street, whether I'm in a lift, I'm at a bar. People think I'm aloof and not paying attention, but I am watching every single person that comes in and out.
Yeah.
I'm watching my drink. I'm watching other women's drink. Like this hyper awareness, I think that you have to have as a woman, regardless of whether or not you can tell if someone has the best of intentions or not. It's just, you have to be aware of your surroundings, period, dot, end of story. It's not option.
Yeah. And I think the opportunity for someone like you is to notice the vigilance and be vigilant with us. Like that's what I would say. Someone who's self-aware like you are, when you're walking in a public place, you check the scenario. Like there's a woman. Is there anyone else around who she might need to be? Like to me, that's the thing that men can bring to the table. The thing that men can bring to the table is 3 words. I got you. Like legit, I got you. And it is an energetic, like, when someone, I can feel it. And I don't know why, but like, I can feel that someone's like, they're present. They're there. They're aware. They know what's going on in the surroundings. I don't care if you're a stranger or not. Like, when someone is watching out for you.
Yeah.
So if that's an invitation to men to display and hold your masculine energy in a way that's like, I'm a protector in this environment. I dated a guy. I have had one experience where I was with a guy who was always watching the surrounding areas and would make sure that like women were safe.
So my guy Justin and I, we've been together about 11, almost 12 years now. And I can recall very clearly scenarios where I've been able to be out in public and not feel like I had to be on alert 110%.
Because you're with him.
Because I'm with him.
Yeah.
And the reasons why they stand out so vividly is because there are moments where he's like, hey, yeah, no, don't worry about it. I have your phone and purse and life that you just left aside next to me and walked off and enjoyed your life. Or, yeah, sure, I'll literally pick you up and move you away from the mosh pit at the concert because you were just free and enjoying yourself. And he wasn't saying those in the sense of like, hey, pay attention.
No.
It was more, hey, I've got
you.
And it wasn't until, a few years ago, I realized how valuable.
Oh, it's actually like I've experienced it and it makes my nervous system just like, it's everything.
It's like being able to comfortably shut off a piece of your brain that you didn't realize was on all the time. And it's so fucking exhausting.
Yeah. Yep.
It's so exhausting.
So that would be the invitation. Like the invitation to men is like, you know, whatever you've done in your life to have you be, you know, grounded, secure, right? Like your masculine energy is grounded. It's clean. Like I get that from you. I'm sure you do too. That's it. And that means take that everywhere. People who are vulnerable, old people, you know, children, women. That's the role of the masculine. I don't mean to say that there's not other roles for you, but as someone who is physically superior in strength to women, that's the role that I desire to be involved in a relationship. Now, haven't had it because my balls are bigger than yours, right?
It's confusing.
It
I go
is.
back and forth on this a lot. I'm listening to you. I'm like, yeah, I would love to be in my femininity,
and I'm not saying like it's
a spectrum.
It is such a spectrum. I'm never going to not be like, you know, opinionated. Let's just, I'm never going to not be like a kind of a big personality. I'm never going to not be a leader. I'm never going to not be driven. It's just who I am.
Leadership is shared between men and women.
Yeah.
And it's not something that's exclusive to either one.
No.
I think you have part of the answer that you said earlier, which is just something to be aware of. And it was interesting because my wife and I were talking about this just the other day, which is that men are a daily kind of cycle with the sun, and women are the 28-day moon cycle. And so together, this forms a rhythm.
Yeah.
And if you look at the universe, it's all of these waves and
ebb, flow,
things that kind of resemble sound and all of these kind of neat things. And when we're alpha phase,
yes,
then there's dysfunction, literal.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think we have to be aware of just what our
naturalness
and be able to support each other in those kind of things, because that's where the harmonics are. That's where everything comes together.
Yeah.
And all of the spheres are able to rotate around each other.
Yep.
And I know the focus of this particular episode isn't necessarily about biology, but like, let's call a spade a spade. Most women and young women coming up, like, don't actually fully understand their bodies. And sure shit, guys don't either. So start there and help and empower people through education, through healthcare, to understand what's going on internally so they can better exist in the world.
Yeah.
Like, base level, that's where we should start.
Yeah. Well, there's, you know, like I said, if I look into the paradigm of work is it's consistent effort and it's consistent daily effort. It's very masculine. That I reset every day. That's you. I do not. I don't.
As a manager of women, since I have a team that's all women, if I don't get that, then we are going to have a very dysfunctional culture.
Yeah.
And so what I'm constantly trying to create with our culture is safety. Being that protective figure, that's to know that the women that are in my care on the team are not going to be like, I'm ready every day, like men. They have different responsibilities. They have different needs emotionally and physically than guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that, with leaders throughout our community and our nation, it's just understanding that women and men coexist in the workplace, coexist out in the world. And we have to be cognizant of how we are different and how we can contribute to successful if we're in harmony.
Yeah.
So that means that my expectations of women are lower, but just different. I may have someone on my team that needs to express something emotionally to me and have that not impact all,
Right.
you know,
Right.
and that they need to feel safe and protected, just like my wife.
Yep.
Right. Just like my dog.
Yep.
And just
yeah.
So if we really truly kind of analyze ourselves, like guys need to feel safe too.
Yeah.
And I don't like seeing sketchy guys out there. I don't like feeling, that I might have to respond to something physically. But yet, if the shit goes down, you need guys that are going to be able to step into that. But we need to be able to say what a better example it is for young men so that they don't become that sketchy guy that disrupts everybody else's harmony together, because now we have to react.
Yeah. Well, and the whole, boys don't cry. And there's, I honestly can't imagine raising boys. I think it would be so challenging and heartbreaking for me because I don't know the outlet that you guys have. I don't know the outlet for emotion because I'm such an emotional being. There's just so many waves of emotion. And it breaks my heart to think that boys are conditioned to bottle that up and not have a productive way. And I know that boys also have aggression in sports, and that is an outlet for them. There's, the expression of things of that nature that I know helps, but just, I don't know.
I'm having this realization that we've developed this podcast around this conversation of masculinity and femininity. And to me, both terms have been weaponized so much.
That was one of the questions about femininity or feminism and any ism.
Question now, because I think it only feeds into the narrative and the misconception that we have, which is and the question was, is it possible to have a version of feminism that doesn't require a villain? And I think that's a reactionary question to us having already defined feminism in a negative way. And as we talk, nobody's blaming. I mean, we're seeing ways in which men can step up and fulfill their role that they want to be and feel like that's okay. Yeah. And how women need that, both just out in the community, but in those close relationships too. And I think it's we're looking at it in a healthier, positive light than just throwing something out there that's just designed to strike a nerve.
Yeah.
Because it's not bad. I think what we learn is that when we have an open and honest conversation about this, we realize we are all working for the same thing.
Yep.
And with my little boy, I'll say this: I still remember the first time that I hugged my dad because I was practically growing. I have kissed him and put him to bed and hugged him pretty much every day of his life. And if he comes to me and he's sad, or if he comes to me and he needs a hug, I'm there. Yeah. And I have never once said to him anything along the lines of you needed something.
Right.
Yeah, that's not what little boys do.
Yeah.
Because I don't understand it. I don't know why I would do that. Why would I want to harden it towards the world? I know what it feels like to be hard towards the world. I don't want that for him. I want him to feel loved, and I want him to feel that someone's proud of him and someone believes it, just the same way that I valued my.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same way. I don't know. It's just I don't feel like the need to train my son to be an aggressive, alpha male dominant kind of thing, because just what you're explaining, it's not what anybody wants anyway. He should be able to feel and have emotions, and because those feelings help him be perceptive to what needs of his family, women, of men, how to respond, be empathetic to them versus just trying to shut it off. So, I think that and this was the same thing when we had the masculinity discussion. I'm surprised where it goes. It's not going to stick to the script as we start to be real, because there is no script. Life is what it is, and It's never going to be perfect, but we're always striving to like make it better for the generations first to see it, we've learned from it, and just like I think the next time on we can do it.
Yeah.
Well, we are talking about it and trying to make it better, but I think there's also it'd be worth saying that not everyone is. And going back to what I was saying about community and church, realized recently, or I had a thought, and I'm curious what your guys' reaction is to this. It seems to me that in some ways, certain parts of our society are trying to go backwards. And at first, I was thinking, man, no, like, I'm not going to support this, like, be barefoot and pregnant and not work and like blah, 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 blah from decades past. But then I thought, is it perhaps just a reaction to the fact that it is really difficult to communicate and connect with people? And are certain people trying to revert back to a time that was just easier to function in
Yeah.
because roles were so clearly defined?
Yeah.
Right, there are no rules. Yes, debate all of the bad consequences of that.
Yeah.
And it's people before us who made it better. Yeah. The work and the investment they did, the process that they made so that we could have this conversation now. Those things are thrown away in a fundamentalist mindset as you're trying to refer back to a pure state that you evolved. Well, that's not the way that the direction of time and growth. Yeah. It isn't. It doesn't go backwards. And you can't ever achieve that again because it never existed in the first place. It's fancy. You want to cherry pick all of the things that you like from that and ignore all of the unintended consequences. We still have work to do. And we still have work to do when it comes to equality among the women.
I think this whole thing is like a response to the pendulum. The response to the pendulum is let's just go back, right? Like it's out of control and women are doing this and men are at home with their babies and whatever dynamic individually you want. I want a certain dynamic that it was unbeknownst to me. And I was like, I'm not with that kind of a guy. And this would not fly with him. And who is this? Like, what? Very shocking. But like, I'm not going to go back. There's no going back. But I think it's just a response to like things swinging out of proportion. And then, coming to hopefully a more, righting it. Not righting it right, wrong, but like righting the ship.
Right. And that the role of leaders in our communities is to work to equality of the rest. Yeah. And so, the pendulum has reached its point where now people are wanting it to swing in the other direction. But there needs to be resistance about it going too far. But I do think there's a widespread belief and has taken things too far, and no one is able to articulate to you exactly what that means. All they're expected to do is that they're unhappy, they don't loudly. And so the proper mature response isn't to just get mad and break it. It's to continue to look for ways to improve it. And, I don't think that there is any kind of logical way of reverting back to those days anyway. Like women are going to need to earn, like as a society, like individual situations will vary. And certainly if you're not living in the big city, you have a choice there. But for most Americans who are living in a metropolitan area, women will earn an income. Mm-hmm. And if they want to, that's why would you not want that?
Yeah.
But we also have to be conscious of how that is impacting all the other lives that are involved in those family relationships. And if people aren't happy, then they try to change it. And that means that relationships will break up and that people will make those types of decisions in response to trying to get to a place where in their life they feel more fulfilled emotionally and, psychologically, that they're in a better place. And that will need sacrifice to those places unless there is some path out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not an easy topic.
No, not an easy topic. And there's also the aspect of if I'm going to go there, like maybe what we do need to get back to is what you were talking about earlier, actually being in community with people. I have not ever been able to raise my children without the help of my friends helping me with drop off pickups, carpooling, divide and conquer. I don't have a partner to do that with anymore. So I have to rely on my community. And that actually feels really good. It feels really natural. We are communal people. We are communal in nature. Women are way more like needing each other. And I would say, and I've seen some of these things where I don't know if you all saw this, but I think it was in 2020, there was a 19 black families, 18 or 19 black families bought a big piece of property and created like their own community.
Pipe dream. There's going to be tiny homes for all my family.
It's happening already. It's happening already.
Accessory dwelling units.
100%. We're going to have a clubhouse in the middle, but everyone's going to be distanced enough. You have to have your own privacy to get to one another.
And it's this is how we used to live.
Yeah.
This is how we used to live. So I think it's, there is no going back, but if we could look back and say, what's missing? Maybe, that's another paradigm that we get to just go, this has an impact on all the things, right? Mm-hmm. Cost of living. And I mean, consumerism is what it is.
Oh, I mean, we don't have time to take it to the macro, but if you just think about like cost of living and whether or not women want to work, there's a big gap in our workforce right now. So that has to be filled. Like,
it's all connected.
But I tell you, like, I've never experienced a lack of community like it has been living in suburbs and living in an HOA. I mean, there's no community there that you can draw on and for those kind of things.
If you look at the new subdivisions that they're making them with community centers. Yeah. They're making small houses there's one up in Norterra that's like, it's just, that's kind of that's in response to, hey, people are disconnected. Like everyone's in their own little house, and the disconnection of extended family, grandparents, and all the things. Like we've lost that. So I think that's what people want. People definitely want that.
And also, what we've lost is just the appreciation for what makes men beautiful, makes women beautiful, is those unique aspects of the strengths that can get a bit blurry when they're both trying to be the same within together. We harmonize.
Yeah.
And that as men and as protectors, that's a good thing. And the softness and femininity of women, that's what makes them beautiful as well. And we shouldn't try to sanitize that out of it in order to create a society where everything is better.
Yes, please. Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you
so much.
Yeah, loved it.
So and so many things still to get to.
There's always the next rabbit hole.
Yeah.